Hello YouTube. I have 3 different threads to look at today and I'd really like your opinions, so please share them. The first one is, am I being unreasonable? To treat them mean can keep them keen. Let's see what you think. So the theory of treat them mean, keep them keen is the neglecting of a romantic partner or a potential romantic partner to keep them interested in you. I don't think it's particularly kind, and sometimes I don't think it's particularly deliberate. Let's have a look at this original post. Little Kitten 1 writes, I've been given some amazingly helpful responses on another thread. I'm seeing a man who isn't as into me as I am to him, and it's breaking my heart and driving me nuts. One of the suggestions was treat him mean, keep him keen. Does this ever actually work? I'm not sure that in this situation I'm going to try, because I think I need to walk away now as I'm hurting. But maybe for future I should play it cooler with this saying in mind. Am I being unreasonable to think it might work? And here comes the advice. That's a stupid saying, OP. Accept the fact he's just not that into you and walk away with dignity still intact. How is game playing a good foundation for a relationship? It works for both men and women, but only shitheads do it. What exactly would you be doing differently? Ignoring phone calls? Not returning texts? I'm not an expert, OP, but I would say that game playing like that never ends well. You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel you can be yourself without being anxious and unsettled. You should never really feel like you have to present a side of yourself that's not a true reflection of who you really are. When you're in a healthy relationship, it's easy, not anxiety-inducing or stressful. Giant Spider adds, I'm married now, but when I was happily single and genuinely not looking for a relationship, I found that lots of men seemed to be interested. I didn't treat them mean exactly, but I think I was giving off whatever vibes because I honestly wasn't that bothered whether someone called or not, so I would say it's kind of true. Moonface123 adds, walk away, don't waste any time playing games. If a relationship is meant to be, it will evolve naturally without the need to play silly games. Better to draw a line under it now than prolong your misery. My advice is if a door has closed, stop knocking on it. Move on to better things. I reckon that's really good advice. Yellow Smiley Face adds, what if the next guy you're seeing is super interested, but you decide to play it cool, which he reads as a lack of interest and decides to back off, leaving you hurt again? Never a good idea to play games. You shouldn't have to modify your behaviour like that to keep someone interested. You should just be able to be yourself. It works if it's genuine and you're not actually bothered about them. I hate this saying as I think mean is a bit strong and really means be less interested in them than they are in you. You can't pretend not to have feelings though. It won't help either of you in the long run. Best to cut your losses. Like in most sayings, there's an element of truth. I read threads on here every day posted by women who are martyrs to useless men, do everything for them, sacrifice their own needs and wants, and can't understand why the man treats them with little regard. It's so frustrating. The saying, if you behave like a doormat, don't be surprised if people wipe their feet on you, springs to mind. It's not about being mean, it's about having self-esteem, knowing your worth, establishing boundaries of acceptable behaviour. Basically, not taking any crap. In a relationship, the one who cares least holds the power, whether that's a romantic, friendship, or professional relationship. The question is, how much do you respect yourself? It isn't always easy to walk away. Breakups hurt, but it sounds like you're hurting already. This might not be a very popular opinion, but I find the more people you involve in drafting or assessing a relationship, the more batshit advice you will get. Learn about red flags, think about what you want, and communicate with a man as if he were a female friend of yours. Don't listen to any pithy advice like treat 'em mean, etc. Don't think of it as dating. Think of it as forming a relationship with your best friend. If it doesn't feel like that, it's not the one for you. Pretty decent advice at the end there. Let's move on to the next thread. Okay, this is an interesting one. Stimming is a term that describes self-soothing, self-stimulating behaviours that are repetitive movements, noises, or patterns of behaviour that people frequently demonstrate. And although stimming is commonly associated with people on the autistic spectrum, it's actually a common type of behaviour that is found in lots of people. Some people stim, and often people stim without even realising that they're doing it. These stimming behaviours might include nail biting, hair twirling, cracking of knuckles, drumming your fingers on a desk, shaking your leg, jiggling your foot, whistling, pen tapping. On the autistic spectrum, the common examples of stimming might be arm flapping or head banging, spinning, twirling, rocking, or making repetitive noises, or sometimes repeating words. Our OP asks, I'm an adult who stims. Is this typical? Posting for traffic, really. I have a question I've never asked anyone, but I'm curious about. I'm an adult who frequently stims. Things like clicking fingers, flicking wrist, and rocking back and forth on my chair. I do this mainly when I'm excited or I feel like I've achieved something. Music is also a big trigger for me, and I can daydream quite deeply listening to music. I can control it though. For example, sat at work from home at my own desk, I will stim after completing a task, but sat in the office around people in the same situation, I would never stim. I remember hiding it from my parents when I was younger, deliberately not doing it around them. I'm not sure anyone has ever really witnessed me stim, but it's something I do when I'm alone. I know stimming can be an autistic trait, but I wonder if it's fairly normal to stim regardless. I've never been diagnosed with anything or even been assessed for anything. I wouldn't say I find social situations difficult or find it difficult to read people's emotions. I would probably say the opposite, that I'm a great judge of character and figuring out what people really mean when they say things, and I do have a history of panic attacks and anxiety. The only time I've heard about stims is in the context of autism. It makes me wonder if I'm on the spectrum to some extent. That might be completely ignorant, and I'm sorry if it is. I've just never really heard of it outside of the context of autism. I hide the stim because I find it embarrassing and don't want people to see it, but I'm wondering if it's more common than I think. And here comes the conversation. I stim, it helps me focus at work. Yay, I'm so relieved I'm not the only one. I stim too, it calms me down if I'm feeling a bit edgy. And I'm neurotypical as far as I know, but my daughter has ASD. Stimming includes pacing, biting your nails, twirling your hair, tapping your foot, so definitely not only done with those with ASD. Don't most people do this to some extent? I don't know, I've never spoken about this before or asked the question. I hope so though. I think it's good that you have some self-awareness, and it's good to ask. But don't dwell on it, it's natural. You be you. Get your jingle bells in a row replies, all humans stim. You all move your bodies if you're able through emotion. Autistics just do it more readily and in response to stimuli that neurotypicals wouldn't typically. I'm loving it that get your jingle bells in a row is describing humans as if they're not one. OP replies, I'm glad I started this thread. I have no idea where the embarrassment and the attempt to hide my stims come from, but it's good to know that stimming is fairly common. I think a lot of women and girls do it and make efforts to hide it. I wonder if maybe we're taught to hide so much normal stuff about us that we end up not knowing what's normal or not, and unsure about what should be discreetly contained or not, and anxious what should be celebrated or not. I definitely do it, and it's extremely unlikely that I'm on the spectrum. I stroke my fingertips with paper and rub the backs of my hands. It's soothing to me and helps me focus. I rock a lot and wiggle my left leg or foot. It feels nice. Could be that you are a sensory seeker and enjoying the stimming as a way to emotionally regulate. Many types of people stim in some way, as well as people with ASD and ADHD. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that most people stim in some way. Okay, and our last question of the day is, am I being unreasonable to think he's cheating? Now, I know that some people always think they're being cheated on, and some people don't worry so much. I don't know whether it's insecurity or whether it's evidence-based. Let's have a look and see what you think. Our OP begins with, I have major trust issues and I've been let down massively in the past. How do I know if he's cheating or if I'm paranoid? Thanks. I don't think there is a way to be 100% sure a partner isn't cheating. What things make you think he might be? Changing their password after I snooped their phone? Speaking to women, apparently, through work-related things at odd times? I'm aware it could be me. I am massively insecure and paranoid. I'd change my password if I caught someone snooping on my phone. That's really not on, but you know that. Do you really want to be in a relationship if it causes you this much angst? If you don't trust him, and you don't because you're snooping, end the relationship. It's not fair on either of you. And yes, work on yourself before trying again with anyone else. I know I shouldn't have. I feel like I need to find something to validate my feelings. I've been alone for a while, so it's not that, and I've tried working through these problems. Maybe I'm just not cut out to be in a relationship ever, because I really don't think these thoughts I seem to obsess over will ever go, and it's causing me so much hurt. Unless you deal with your trust issues, you will forever be suspecting your partner and any future partner. I imagine your head is full of, why did he take his phone to the toilet? Why did he post that on his Facebook page, etc. You really need to deal with this. But how do I work through this? I've been trying for years and it's exhausting. I've been down the therapy route too. Sorry to drip feed, but in my weak defence, 6 months into our relationship, I did find several messages to random girls on a social media platform, which he has apologised for and promised not to do again. I would change my password too. But how do I mitigate these intrusive thoughts? He's already given you cause to mistrust him. It isn't just you being obsessive. I wouldn't have continued after the 6-month issue, to be honest. You'll probably always feel like this about him. What kind of messages though? Were they flirty or just conversation? You can't control who he speaks to. That won't do either of you any good in the long run. Yes, flirty. You're gorgeous. How are you single? Etc. You know what they say, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. And Cheeky Hobson writes, you need better boundaries. If I found my boyfriend had sent a message like this to another woman 6 into dating, that would be the end of the relationship. Why didn't you dump him then and there? Real Becca adds, so I think you need to be single. You aren't ready for a relationship. If you were, you wouldn't have accepted an apology for those messages, as your self-esteem and confidence would be high enough to know it's better to be single than with someone who behaves that way, or to spend forevermore paranoid. These messages change everything. I'm not surprised you're anxious, but kindly, keeping checking his phone is only going to make you more anxious. I would end it in your situation. You don't trust him, and rightly so. And OP continues with, thanks for all of the replies. I should have got rid of them after the messaging drama. I think I know what to do. Good God, woman! This man showed that within months of being in a committed relationship with you, he was not to be trusted. Messaging other women with flirty stuff. Absolutely a sackable offence. So rather than all of this, how do I learn to be more trusting? I'd reframe this to, I think I'll dump this bloke because he's given me cause not to trust him and I don't actually forgive what he did, so I'm going to throw him back in the pond. Rather than beating yourself up just to get rid of him. It's not the one for you. I promise, once you're with the right man for you, this whole trust thing becomes a lot easier. In response to, I hoped it was a mistake and I was being insecure, which I can be, Cheeky Hobson advises, well, you are right in that you are insecure, but the security you lack is not the trust in your partner to be loyal to you, but it's a lack of security in your own standards. My guess is that in your heart, you do not want to be with a man who sends flirty messages to another woman. You believe that the behaviour is disloyal, unkind, and shows a lack of commitment to you. You feel hurt by it. And yet, when you saw the man you are in a relationship with behave in exactly this way, you were faced with the decision to eject him from your life. You paused. You felt or told yourself something like, well, he does have a lot of other good qualities. Maybe this kind of flirty behaviour is actually what all men do and does not mean his loyalties are divided between me and other women. Maybe it is right for him to give lavish compliments to other women as long as he is not actually physically putting his dick in them. Maybe if there are real one-woman men out there, I am not sufficiently attractive or interesting or valuable to attract one, so this is the best I can hope for. In short, you doubted your own standards, and here you are in a relationship with a man who you know quite well could have one foot out of the door. That's why you feel insecure, because you ignore behaviour that showed your boyfriend has different standards in a relationship to you. OP replies, thank you, Cheeky. Those are very wise words and they really resonate for me. I just love him, so it will be hard. The way I see it, carrying on as you are means you will 100% get hurt, jealous, and insecure people will eventually always chase a partner away. If you give someone your trust, there's only a 50% chance you'll end up hurt. Not every man is a cheat. And the OP's final words are, thank you everyone for your replies. The percentages thing is very interesting and something to think about in the future. The way I see it, carrying on as you are means you will 100% get hurt, jealous, and insecure people will eventually always chase a partner away. If you give someone your trust, there's only a 50% chance you'll end up hurt. Not every man is a cheat. And the OP's final words are, thank you everyone for your replies. The percentages thing is very interesting and something to think about in the future. Well, that was quite final, wasn't it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, let me know if you actually like these videos and whether you would like me to cover other kinds of topics. Just give me your feedback. Thanks.